Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Happy Monday. Today we have Simon 2.0 version of the interview. Simon and we already jumped on an interview about a month ago, and we did a little bit of introduction into big data, Power BI, and so on. And today we are back again, and we want to do a little bit deeper dive. I know you guys want it. Many of you reached out to me telling me how useful that video was. It is by far the most viewed video so far since I've started doing the LinkedIn Live. So I guess it really was an interesting topic. If you want to watch the replay, well, one thing is you can go through my newsfeed on LinkedIn, or you can go to the YouTube channel where you can find it way more easily. Just type fail coach and it will pop up right away. But without me going into too much random rambling, we are not here for me. We are here for Simon. Simon, welcome back again. It's a huge pleasure to have you here. And maybe we should start with just a quick introduction again for the ones who haven't watched yet the previous one.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a pleasure to be back here. Thanks for the opportunity. So welcome back, guys, if you're returning. If you did miss the first one, don't worry. It's not, you don't have to do any sort of pre-study. We'll pick up pretty quickly and carry forward. So just a quick introduction. My name is Simon Nuss. The accent is Australian. I live in Toronto, Canada, and I'm the Director of Data and Analytics at Hitachi Solutions, where I lead a large team of consultants who help with everything from business intelligence, data science, big data, data streaming, all that sort of fun stuff. So it's a pleasure to be here, Miha.
Well, thank you. And it's a huge pleasure to have you here. I mean, well, you already know how grateful I am for this opportunity. I've been looking for somebody like you since I started this whole LinkedIn Live, and now finally, and you know, how many people viewed the last one? It proved that this was something that was needed, because most of the time the talk is about marketing and sales and all of that hoopla front end, all good, cash flow generating, but we must not forget about everything that happens in the back end if we want to have a sustainable company. Well, Simon, when we went live, we said maybe a quick recap from your end on what we talked last time, and then straight from there, I don't want to take any time, if possible, from you. We can go into the case study.
Yeah, absolutely. So as Miha said, guys, I'll just do a quick recap of what we did last time we spoke about a month ago. And I just have a discussion around a bit of a case study that we'll deep dive into on how I improved a company's sales reporting process. But before we dive into that, so what happened last time? We really dived into the topic of data and analytics. So quite a high, broad level, right? So we discussed how data and analytics can enable you to make better, more informed decisions with confidence. And those are some pretty important words there, right? So making better decisions based on data, so they're very informed decisions. And because of that, you can make them with confidence. There's no guessing or anything. You've got the hard facts to back up those decisions. So that's really what data and analytics or business intelligence can give you. And so we then discussed that feedback loop of finding data, capturing it, storing that data, performing some data quality and transformations on it, and analyzing the data for any sort of insights, and then delivering that data back to the business. So why I say that's a feedback loop is because it just keeps going. Every day you pull the data, you generate an insight, and you feed it back to your business to act upon it. Rinse, lather, and repeat. Capture data, feed it back to the business. We discussed a little bit about how these people called data engineers can more formally take that data and establish this process for you under something called ETL, or extract the data, transform the data, and load the data. And most importantly, we also discussed how you can use Excel. So how you as a business user can get started today. You don't necessarily need that data engineer, especially at that small scale. I always suggest at that small scale, load up your Excel sheets, your Excel workbooks. That's the best place to start, because that'll get you using data and getting used to it. And as I mentioned a few times, getting knowledge on what data you have. That's kind of that first step, is understanding what data you currently have. Once again, no better way to do that than diving into an Excel workbook.
Yeah, that was an excellent recap. That's what we did. And now for the case study, do you already need the screen sharing or?
I'll talk to this one for about 5 minutes. So
Okay.
I just want to share just a bit of an example, just to put it in context, to bring everyone up to speed if you missed that last call on how you might get some benefits from data and analytics, or how you might get some benefits from business intelligence. So I didn't have a presentation for this one, unfortunately, here. I'll just quickly talk to it just to set the scene a bit.
No, that's just okay.
Because I didn't say it before, but one of the things I'd really like to get out of today's call is a demo. So I'd really like to get to that point and show you how you can make your own insights and reports. So this is a bit of a precursor to that. So I'll share with just an example of a client that I helped in 2019, about 6 to 9 months before the pandemic kicked in. And this was a client of mine in the restaurant industry. And they had about 10 stores in Ontario, Canada. Actually, excuse me, I've got a bit of a sore throat. They had about 10 stores in Ontario, Canada, and they had some pretty good processes set up with their sales reports. So, every day they generate a sales report on what the day's sales. And those processes were pretty good. But they really only answered what did happen. And this is pretty common in a sales report, right? And so in this particular industry, the restaurant industry, a sales report is basically, what were my sales today? What were the biggest products? And in this case here, like some more details around food costs and things like that. So they were very descriptive in nature. And that's a very important word. They were descriptive. They were what happened historically? What were my sales yesterday? What were my sales today? What were last week's sales? So they really brought me and my team in to focus on moving a bit further from a descriptive process. They wanted to move into predictive and prescriptive. So what that means is that they wanted to look at processes like, what will my sales be for this week? So if today is Monday, what will my sales be for Tuesday? Right? There's obvious reasons why that's very good to know, especially if you're in the restaurant industry, because it really guides, how many staff do you need tomorrow? It guides what inventory or what food do they need to have on hand to support tomorrow's sales. Like, these are very, very important decisions that, to be frank, a store manager just guessed for the most part. They never definitively, you never definitively know what's happening in the future. But the way that this company worked is that their store managers just guessed. I guess that I'm going to have X amount of sales tomorrow. I guess that I need X amount of inventory on hand. So we came in and tried to help with that. And then we also moved into the prescriptive as well. And that's quite an interesting one, because it's not historically descriptive. It's not predictive, like what will happen tomorrow. It's prescriptive. It's what will you do about it? Okay, so what is the solution to the problem? And so a very simple example could be, we have predicted that tomorrow the store needed a certain amount of vegetables, a certain amount of produce available. So prescriptive would aim to say, well, which supplier can you get that from? And so I can go into more detail if you want me here, but we ended up rolling out that solution as well. And so, long story short, after it was about a 6-month engagement, we were able to take their sales report and build in all of these extra processes. And the net result of this is that they were never caught unawares. So where before they might have ran out of inventory, or before they might have not had enough staff on for a certain event, now they were prepared. Now they were able to staff appropriately. Now they were able to have the appropriate amount of inventory on hand to be able to satisfy what's happening tomorrow. And in fact, what was happening for the rest of the week. So Miha, happy to peel back the onion on that one. Do you have any questions on how that was set up?
I imagine that they also didn't have more wasted food because they were not eyeballing, and then something might have stayed there for too long. So they were better with maintaining their inventory, predicting trends, and maybe even seeing more clearly what are the most profitable items, being more pushy on those, increasing profit. So I can see so many different things that you can get from a report like that can impact your decision making and how you can drive bigger, increase profitability in a very challenging environment that is a restaurant where foods can go bad quite quickly if you're dealing with very fresh produce and so on. So that's a very good, very interesting one, and it's good to hear that an owner of 10 restaurants, which is not that huge, it's not a huge chain, would be willing to invest in this data mining. And I'm sure whatever you guys were costing him, he got that back fairly quickly through all these benefits. So very interesting example. I love it.
Exactly. And it comes back to that foundation that we discussed last time as well. This organization, they set up the sales report process. They went through and they did all of that. But they realized that at a point they needed professional help. They needed some consultants to come in, because you do eventually meet that critical mass that I mentioned last time. You reach a point where your homegrown processes become challenging to scale. And that's exactly what this company encountered. And so we were able to actually, what we say in my industry, we were able to refactor their existing processes to make them a lot better, but also introduce these extra processes as well, these prescriptive and these predictive processes to enhance what they already had. So still using it to this day. And yes, as a result, you can focus on better profitable items, reducing wastage. Obviously, that's a big one too. Customer satisfaction, that's a big one. If you don't have enough staff and you're not meeting the demand, you're not going to have very happy customers. So there's obviously, we could go on for hours about the benefits coming out of something like this.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm very much looking forward to the demo as well. So I'm eager to see what you have prepared for us. You wouldn't tell even me anything. You said I want you to be surprised as well. So I'm all ready to be surprised.
All right. So my goal out of today's call is to show everyone how easy it can be to create automated reporting. And we discussed this on the last call a bit more, but today I'll give you the abridged version. Yes, most organizations use Excel. Excel is the #1 BI tool in the world, bar none. It's above and beyond the most popular business intelligence or BI tool in the world. However, there are limitations. So what I'm going to introduce everyone on the call to today is a tool called Power BI. And
my favorite
this tool is currently the industry leader. It has been for about 4 years now. And what it does is it can really automate that process of gathering data, transform everything I described, gathering the data, transforming it, finding insights, and delivering those insights. And so without further ado, I will share my screen. It's my first time doing this on this technology, so let's see what happens. So
yes, let's do that. Microsoft Power BI is by far my favorite tool as well. And whenever I'm working with clients, I always recommend them to go into Microsoft Power BI. So, and I absolutely think from everything that I've seen on the market, it's by far the best tools that I know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, on that point, guys, so I'll show you the tool shortly. Currently, you see my web browser. I'll show you the tool shortly. It's worth noting that it is a free download. It does require Windows, but you can download it for your business 100% free. So if you Google Power BI Desktop, this top link here, so you can go and download this for free. There's no licensing concerns at all. Okay, the only licensing concerns come into it when you decide to share it amongst people in your organization. But you can download this, install it on your computer, as long as you have Windows, develop beautifully stunning reports, and start automating the process of gathering and transforming data. So let's have a demo today. So Miha, for this demo, I am going to need to know your favorite sports team.
Oh, does it has to be something from the US?
It can be anywhere you'd like.
Well, I'm guessing there's more data on that. Well, Dallas Mavericks. Luka Doncic is playing for Dallas Mavericks, so why not?
Excellent. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to use the Dallas Mavericks Wikipedia page as my data source.
Wikipedia page.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
So just remember, guys, I said on the last call that data is everywhere, and more likely than not, you already have data. So the first thing I'd like to highlight from this demo is that you'd be surprised where you can get data from. And we're going to use a Wikipedia page as our data source in this example. And here we are, just sharing it on my screen. And as you can see, there's a whole bunch of stuff here. Now, all of this text that you see on my screen is what we call unstructured data. So it's data that's not easily usable. However, if I scroll down through this page, eventually, you'll get to something that's a bit more structured, and it's usually near the end. And here we go. So here we have tables of data. This is the good stuff. This is stuff that we can quite easily use. And so I'm going to use Power BI. I guess we might be able to use this one. I'm going to use Power BI to pull this data into the tool. And then we'll develop a couple of visualizations based upon it to answer a business question. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop sharing my screen of the window. I'm going to load up Power BI, which I'm doing right now. And I'll flip to the Power BI screen. So it's just loading right now. I just need to give it a moment. All right, so let me stop sharing.
So yeah, we remove that one.
Share again. Okay. So you should be able to see up the top here, Power BI Desktop. Once again, free to install. Please have at it. It's a great tool. My goal isn't to teach you how to use this tool today. That would take at least an hour. My goal is just to introduce you to it, some of the high-level concepts. Okay. So the first thing that I'm just going to quickly do that you can't see is I'm just copying the Dallas Mavericks website, the Wikipedia website to my clipboard, the URL to my clipboard. Okay. So first things first, I know that I want to get some data. Okay. So I'm just going to click Get Data. And in this case here, we have a lot of examples. What I'm going to click on is from web. So this one here. And Miha, I actually see on your screen, my mouse is not aligned with where I'm highlighting.
I see that, but I'm not sure if we can do anything about it.
That's no problem. So I'm just clicking on web right here, the one that's highlighted. This is just, I think, an artifact of LinkedIn streaming. That's no problem.
Could be.
So now what I'm just going to quickly do is so what Power BI is doing right now is it's going to that website and it's going to open up a window. And Miha, once again, what I'm seeing on my screen is a little different from what you're seeing. Live demos, guys, aren't they great? Yeah, there's actually a pop-up that's not coming through. Let me see if I can
Oh
stop.
no, pop-up probably won't come through.
Yeah, so let me just see if I can stop my screen share and I'll try it again. Don't worry, guys. This is a quick part of the demo, so I can quickly go past the pop-up rather quickly. Yeah. So yeah, it's not appearing on my screen on your screen. So just quickly, guys, I'll describe to you what I'm looking for. I'm currently going through the website on Power BI Desktop, trying to find that table of data that I showed you, and I've found that data. And I'm just going to bring that data up and share it with you in a moment. Okay, let me just stop the screen share. Okay, so now on my screen, you should be able to see the data.
Yes.
So this was that page of data that we saw on the website. Okay, it had players' names, it had their positions, it had their height, their weight, date of birth, and where they were from. So it's some pretty interesting data, right? Now, the first thing that I would like to show you is really how to clean up data. And by the way, this is 100% live demo. This is not prepared at all. Things could go wrong, but let's just see what happens. So how to clean up data. So let's first develop a business question, Miha. What I would like to do is I would like to be able to rank all of these names or all of these players by weight or height. I don't know. Which one would you like, Miha? Would you like to rank them by?
Let's do height.
Let's go height. Yep. Excellent. So if we have a look here on this height column that I'm just highlighting in gray, that's what we call semi-structured data, or mostly unstructured data. It's not too usable. It's a little bit messy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a feature in Power BI that will, and once again, my goal isn't to teach you this, so I'm going to go quite quickly. That's going to clean up this data here. And it actually has some built-in artificial intelligence. And so what I'm going to say in this column over here, column 1 on the right, I am going to give it some examples. So just I'm going to start typing into this top row here. I'm going to type in 2.18. Okay. And so you see almost where my mouse is, where it says 2.18. That's what I typed in, and I got it from this little cell there. Now, what's interesting is that the artificial intelligence has realized what I've tried to do, and it's kind of figured it out. You see all those gray values? So it's actually figured out how to pass out that text from that column. Okay, so I'm just going to give this a better name. We'll call it height in meters. All right, and I'm going to press OK. So now what we're going to do, I'm just going to say that this is a whole number. Oops, no, I'm not. I'm going to say that this is a decimal. All right. So now we've added a column of data that is just numbers. So we've been able to clean up the data from unstructured to structured. And that just simply means that the data is now a bit more usable. It's from a machine's perspective. Okay. So now I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for a second. And I'm just going to now make a report. So let me just share my machine screen again. Sorry, 1 second.
Sure, take your time.
Sorry, guys. Just having some issues with the Windows right now.
Is Microsoft Power BI desktop only available on Windows or also on Mac?
So Power BI desktop is only available on Windows. Sorry, guys. You have to bear with me. Sorry about this. It's I'm having trouble sharing my window. Let me just. One moment. Okay. Sorry about that. I'll share it in a second. So yeah, it's currently only available on Windows. You can get it working in a Mac. However, I'm not sure. I don't own a Mac, so I'm not sure how to do that. But I believe you can virtualize like a Windows environment that can get it to run. There's a couple of applications you can install on Mac to get it to run. So it can be done. It's just a bit of a hack. So I'm happy to find out the names of those applications for you here if anyone expresses an interest in it.
Okay.
So
okay.
I'll just share my screen again. All right. So here we have all of our data, and this is extracted from, once again, the Wikipedia page. And before, what we wanted to do, we wanted to try and rank the players by height, right? But as you can see from that column in gray, that it was a bit messy, right? There was feet mixed into it. There was brackets. There was numbers and letters mixed together. That doesn't work very well. If you've ever used Excel or Google Sheets, you know exactly why, right? You can't really easily rank things properly or average things in that sort of format. But now we've kind of cleaned it up in this format. So now that this is done, it's really simply the case of saying, well, I want to drag that into my report. And so I drag that column in, and it's automatically made a visual for me. But maybe I want to now rank this by name. So I'm going to click on name on the left. And now I want to change the visual. And so what we've done rather quickly, guys, is we've been able to do some pretty amazing things. And let me make this text a bit bigger for you, just so you can see it. Let's go size, we'll go size 19. So within the space of a couple of minutes, we've been able to connect to a website. We've been able to extract the data. We've been able to run some artificial, like actual literal artificial intelligence over it. Not the stuff you hear in the news, but this was real artificial intelligence. We were able to extract some clean data from some messy data. Then we were able to make this visual that you see on my screen right here. and now we have the insight that we need. And so now it's very evident that that Boban, am I saying that correctly? Boban is the number one, is the
Boban
fourth
Marjanovic.
person that we have on the team.
Yeah,
And so that was evident.
Luka is in the middle.
Yep. So what I'd like to highlight is this, guys. We started off with this. You would not put this in front of your CEO, right? This is a table of data. This is not insightful. You have to think to be able to figure out an answer here. However, with this visual, we immediately see it. It's automatically ranked. So there is no thinking. We know exactly what the answer is. And so just at a very high level, here we have one visual, right? And say, for example, we wanted to clean this up a little bit. And I'll just spend one more minute on this. There are a whole bunch of options in this tool for making this visual look better. I'm not going to spend much time on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one more visual to this page, and that's the ability to filter it or to slice it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag in the from piece of data. And we're going to turn this into a selection panel, or a slicer is what we call it. So now I can go through and I can filter that other visual by this one. And so very quickly we can see that it looks like Slovenia, was it?
Yeah.
So SMU has 2 players. And that's kind of the power of Power BI, right? It's very easy to go through and make visuals. Here we go.
Perfect.
So I'm going to pause there, guys. The last thing that I would normally do on this demo is I'd publish this to a website and then be able to share it with everyone on the call and Miha as well. But because everyone hasn't used Power BI before, sharing it's a little bit difficult. But one last thing I'll highlight, what if the Wikipedia page updated? What if it changed, tomorrow? Well, it's very easy to fix that, right? Because if it were Excel, I'd have to go to the Wikipedia page, extract the data, paste it into my template, so on and so forth. With Power BI, you have none of that. You simply just need to hit refresh. So, you click that button, boom. When the Wikipedia page updates, it's going to go there within a couple of seconds, get the latest data, and load it into Power BI. And all of a sudden, your report has automatically updated, well, for the most part, because you click the button.
And it will know which data from that whole page to gather and work with. So unless they just delete the whole table from it, this will always work.
That's a very good point, right? There's limitations to what there's only so much you can do. So exactly, if the Wikipedia data were deleted, the whole article were deleted, or this table of data was transformed so dramatically much that Power BI doesn't even recognize it. It's just so different. That would cause this process to break. But that's actually a good thing. You want this process to break. What you don't want is it to work off bad data. And that's kind of one of the benefits of Power BI is that when the source data changes so structurally much, your data pipeline will break, which is by design. It's what you want. And then you obviously, as an end user, are loaded to that, and you can go get it fixed.
Yeah. And also, so for example, in that startup of mine, we were doing energy efficiency. So we were gathering a lot of weather data. And so our ETL component would go to national weather forecasting, whatever agency. And I think it was once a day, it would gather all the data for the last 24 hours. And then new calculations and new graphs and everything were made based on the most recent data. And all the past historical data also stayed in the SQL database. So it was all there. So if you wanted to go back in time, it was just as easy as entering what day you want to go back to, and you would see data from that day.
Yeah, and that's another thing about Power BI, right? It's definitely a big step up from Excel and Google Sheets. However, it's still not the best solution in total. You'll still need some other supporting tools when your organization gets even bigger. And so that was the SQL database that Miha mentioned. Once you get to that point, you're good though. But so I'd say in terms of progression, start with Excel, start with Google Sheets, start making all of those reports inside those tools. When that becomes too manual or too cumbersome, and taking more than 1 or 2 hours of someone's time a week, move into Power BI Desktop. Right? That's definitely your next step. And all of a sudden, that will take you much, much further than Excel possibly could. But eventually Power BI will reach its limits by itself. And at that point, you can keep using Power BI, but you may need to introduce another tool, for example, a SQL Server.
Yeah. I know here in Europe we say SQL, but yeah, it's SQL. Yeah, my mistake. So you need that, and basically what we used Power BI was really to see the dashboards, because we were using this to for our clients who were big retailers, for different levels of management there, to have different insights into what's happening with their retail chains in terms of energy consumption, gas consumption, electricity and gas, and how is that correlated with the weather and the location and so on. And so Microsoft Power BI was the tool that enabled us to build those visuals that were easy to understand from the top level management at retail chains.
Exactly. And so, Miha, one last thing I'd love to share is some examples of some best practice reports. So I'll stop sharing my screen. So what I'd like to get out of this next demo, and I'll just spend a couple of minutes just quickly flipping through some reports. So what I'd like to get out of what I'm about to share with you, is really what the final product looks like, just to give everyone a taste of what a real Power BI report, real Power BI report based on fictitious data would look like. So it's just loading right now. So as this is loading, these reports I'm about to share with you are from a company called Numero. And Numero provide a whole bunch of templates for Power BI and a whole array of other stuff as well. I'm not affiliated with them, but they are recognized in the Power BI industry as making absolutely fantastic templates. So I'm just going to share my screen again, and I'll share with you some of the Numero templates.
There we are.
As I said, I'm not going to walk through these, but as you can kind of see, so this is a customer analysis. This is what you may expect to see from more of a marketing background, right? Moving forward, we have customer satisfaction. So it could be like a mystery shopper, for example. It could be anything. And just a few different visuals here. This one here is an HR dashboard. So looking at more recently hired employees, looking at new employees over time. Moving on to finance. We have, just general performance metrics. So just revenue performance over time. We've got regional performance and some tables of data down the bottom. I'll take this moment to talk about best practices when you make reports. So generally speaking, in most of the world, we read from left to right, top to bottom. So you'll note that most well-made Power BI reports start with a high level of numbers up the top here before moving down to the nitty-gritty numbers down the bottom. So just a piece of information to you. So always remember, high levels up the top left and low-level numbers down the bottom right is your rule of thumb. And one interesting thing to highlight here with Power BI, and I do apologize for the position of my mouse versus where I'm highlighting, but if you click on anything in Power BI, it cross filters. So just to show you an example here, I'm just clicking through that table down the bottom right, and you can see like the colors on that map changing, and the colors in that flow chart on the top right changing as well. So everything's all interrelated. So I'll just show maybe one or two more, Miha.
Yeah, sure.
A marketing example. Once again, not going to show you not going to talk about exactly what it's showing you. And then finally, we'll pause here on an executive summary. So it's worth noting that executive summaries should be limited by design. They should not have much functionality because they are an executive summary. You're not supposed to spend hours tearing it apart and examining it. It's supposed to give you the numbers immediately. And so this is a good executive summary. It just tells you what's happening. Doesn't really give you the ability to explore much further. That's what an operational report is for, like some of those other examples that I gave, like a sales report. So, yeah.
We were using very similar ways to represent that data, using a little bit of colors. It was red. It was something to be alarmed about. If it was yellow, it was shaky. If it was green, that was okay. And so, yeah, the usual report, the usual dashboard for a C-level executive, depending on what, if they were a CFO, a CTO, a CEO. But usually it was between 5 and 10 different things on the dashboard at that top level. And then the lower you would go in the organization, the bigger those reports were, with potentials for drill downs and so on.
Excellent. Yeah, I agree. And so there's a lot of principles coming out of this. Maybe a discussion for another day. But there's a few that I'm a fan of. Less is more. The less you have on a report while still making your audience happy is better. So that means as few numbers as possible. It sounds a bit counterintuitive, doesn't it? But it's true. A little quote from Dieter Rams is that good design is as little design as possible. So that's something that holds true for any sort of report. So good design is as little design as possible. And so as you see this clearly from these demonstrations that I've shown you today.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Simon, let me do it like this so that it at least looks like that I'm looking towards you. Simon, let's do like this. So this was an amazing, like, really good recap and a demo. I mean, like you said, it was not meant for you to teach people how to do things in Power BI. There are other ways how to learn about that. Most of my audience is entrepreneurs and leaders. They probably won't do that themselves anyway. It was more for them to get an idea of how things could be done, what's possible, and that really it isn't as complicated as some people maybe want it to be seen as a very complicated thing. So you did an amazing job walking us through a little bit of that. But now, just for the closing of this interview, any final words, any final thoughts, like a nice little closing before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I think a call to action. So download Power BI Desktop, get your hands dirty, load some data into it, give it a go. Miha, there is an event that's regularly held called Power BI Dashboard in a Day. It's a free event. Anyone can sign up anytime they want. I might share that link actually. I don't know if I can. I'll paste it in the private chat for you. So I do suggest people sign up for a dashboard in a day. So free event. It's a day out of your calendar, and they'll teach you from soup to nuts everything about making a Power BI report. So I think that's a call to action there. Yeah, I think that's the best thing to do. That's definitely a next step. More broadly speaking, if you feel that you're beyond that point, because there's a lot of people that are beyond the point of Power BI. Maybe they've been doing it, or maybe they feel that their processes are too sophisticated already. Reach out to an expert. Reach out to someone like myself. Reach out to a consultant that focuses on data and analytics. Because to call back, just to make a reference to our previous discussion, Miha, get your foundations good. Get your foundations right. If you don't build upon good foundations, things aren't going to end well. So if you feel that you have very sophisticated systems, reach out to an expert and try to get them to lay down some good foundations to help you scale efficiently.
Perfect. I was trying to multitask and try to do it on my phone to put that link into the actual comment on LinkedIn. But the moment I go into the LinkedIn Live, it started talking and we would just have the echo. So I'll have to do that right after we finish this call. But Simon, honestly, it's hard to find words to say how grateful and how thankful I am to both Brendan for introducing us and to you for taking the time twice to talk about this for my followers, for my friends here on LinkedIn. So I really am very grateful. And if there's anything that we as a collective can do to show you our appreciation, or like anything you can come up with, we are here for you. And it will be my pleasure if we can somehow give back to you, and to anything that you need, anyway, how we could support you in the future. Just say it. And you have a lot of fans within our community from that first interview. And I'm sure after they watch this on the replay, you'll have even more fans too. So thank you so much for doing this. I'm really, really grateful.
Excellent. No, thank you for having me, Miha. I'll keep that in mind, but honestly, at the end of the day, I'm really, really passionate about this technology, and that's really all I need, as sappy as it sounds. I love talking about this. I love teaching people. I love empowering people. And if I've empowered even just one person from these discussions, that's all I was looking for.
Well, thank you so much. And I will be sure, if I find an audience that would also be a good fit, for you to talk to them and to introduce them to Power BI, I will be sure to reach out to you and make an introduction with another audience. So yeah, well, Simon, thank you so much again. Happy Monday to you. Enjoy everything. All the best on the journey. And I really am looking forward to when we speak next time.
Likewise. Thank you, Miha. Thank you, everybody.
Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Okay, so this was again Simon with Power BI, with big data, business intelligence. Guys, I can't stress enough how important this back office stuff, what usually to us entrepreneurs seems like the boring stuff, there's no excitement, no emotions, no adrenaline, but you can't have a successful 7 and above figure company that will be successful on the long term without making sure that you have the right foundations on the back end as well, and business intelligence data for making decisions, for driving innovation and so on, is super, super, super important. If you have a few moments, maybe connect with Simon here on LinkedIn. Tell him your thoughts on the whole interview, and how do you look at big data and business intelligence. I'm sure he will be very appreciative if you reach out to him. But yeah, all in all, the end of the 2-part series from Simon. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you need to watch the first one, the previous one, the introduction, the easiest way, go to YouTube. While you're there, subscribe. And yeah, guys, I'll see you next Monday. Take care.